Today, we're finally going to talk about the Austar ax-8560. You might see it online as the JJRC c8801. I got a third one today. I've got one for myself that I've already messed with a lot, and then this is a second one I've gotten as a gift for a friend. So this thing is crazy cheap. It was $75. I actually got my first one for about $60 during a sale. So you can also find the same car pretty much on Amazon for about $90. So anyways, packaging, not super exciting, obviously. No branding at all, but it does come with some cool stuff. First of all, radio is nothing special. Transmitter is not bad. It's got a couple knobs. We'll go into that later. Comes with a pretty cool sticker sheet, actually, and some instructions and a basic charger. Then to the Jeep itself. Just the tires are sticking. So, I mean, just the quality of this hard body is awesome. It's got little windshield wipers and mirrors. Actually, it's got fold-out mirrors, so you don't have to worry about them breaking off. Then it's got a spare tire, which is not going to be good for your weight distribution, but if you're more into scale, it looks cool. Also, a trailer hitch. You don't see a ton of crawlers, especially for this price, that come with a trailer hitch, so that's pretty cool. And then everything is almost the same as a TRX-4M. The only difference you're going to find, that I found, pretty much is the wider axles. So your steering linkage is going to be wider than a TRX-4M's. So you can actually buy that just for the Austar or JJRC on AliExpress. It's like a $5 aluminum link if you need that. But everything else so far has been interchangeable with the TRX-4M. And actually let's pop it open here. It's got these clips that are pretty easy and convenient. It's right here, and it just pops right off. And then it's got a bunch of wiring for the lights. I'm just gonna pop these off here so I can get in here a little better. So it's got this pretty cheap looking ESC, but this is honestly the quietest ESC that I've seen stock in a car, honestly. And it's got a pretty beefy motor, which is pretty impressive for $75. We're also looking at all metal gears, full ball bearings, and electronic 3-speed. It is, it doesn't have a gear, it doesn't shift gears, but the electronic 3-speed actually has pretty good slow crawling speed, slow modulation. Oh yeah, it also has these color changing LEDs in the grill, which you might find annoying, easy to unplug and remove. They're kind of cool if you want to have a little rave crawler, I guess. Also, the sticker sheet is honestly really cool. I'm pretty sure this is all unlicensed stuff, but you got Monster Energy Drink, Discovery Channel, you got Shell, all sorts of stuff. A bunch of different Jeep stickers and kind of like park service, mountain services, a bunch of really cool stickers. Honestly, a sticker sheet like this would probably cost you $5 to $10 shopping around. So that extra cool bonus value for this cheap little car. And while this thing is badass stock out of the box, I've been messing around with this guy, just buying the cheapest parts, the most affordable parts I can find online. Some of it's Amazon, mostly AliExpress. Heard a lot of people saying you can't build, especially you guys on YouTube, saying you can't build a decent crawler for under $250 or so. And so this, I kind of wanted to start with that cheap base and prove a point. So for starters, we got this custom body. Painted it with a Tamiya purple and green iridescent. So I'm kind of calling this thing my Figeater Beetle. Kind of like those big green beetles that come flying at your face. So put the body on some custom made magnetic mounts. Not necessarily pretty, but they work. The mounts actually used pieces of the frame that I cut out from the stock version of the car. You can see like this piece right here. I didn't necessarily need after cutting the chassis shorter in the front here. So I took the plastic piece off there, and this is actually, I think, what I'm using for the back magnetic mount. And then one of these other parts from the front here, or the back here, I believe I used for this mount, or vice versa. I chopped off quite a bit of the frame from the front here, because I didn't use any of the bumper or anything here. Just took it off quite a bit. And then I actually took these shock mounts and then drilled holes in the chassis here and remounted those there. I had to cut some pieces off of them, but they fit there. And honestly, I was getting a little bit too sharp of an angle on the shocks here, so I used the top half of some flex blades and flipped them around to push this forward a little bit. As you can see there, still gives a pretty good angle. This was straight up before. This was straight up before, because this was here. And then all the way back here was a little too much. I couldn't slide this back just a little tiny bit because of the curve of the rail there. But then on the back, I was actually able to drill one new little hole up front and slide this forward just a hair. Well, I used the front hole as the back hole and just slid it forward that much. So that gave it a pretty good angle there. Then I used the pieces that actually cut off from the front to make these stands here for the body mount. And then I took all of the electronics for the lighting out of the body and attached them all to the frame, including mounted the headlights on the front of the frame using extra plastic that I cut out of the wheel wells, and was just able to fabricate little kind of L-shaped pieces to attach these. These headlights can be kind of adjusted, but that puts all the electronics and all the wiring and the headlights that I popped out of the back of the Jeep body are mounted on the back here. So that gets everything a little bit lower, and it keeps this body super, super basic and lightweight, which is pretty cool. And I'm super stoked on how it looks. I found this purple steering link and purple servo horn, and then the green shocks to go with the iridescent green and purple body. These big fat tires honestly are awesome. And then actually took apart the shocks and put tiny springs on the inside here, so it gets a little, it actually pulls the whole front end down a little bit. Then had flex blades on the back, so it still gets some pretty dang good articulation without having too much droop in the front. At first I was running flex blades on the front, and when I'd get to a steeper incline, it would start to, push, it would loosen up and want to fall back. Now, without the flex blades in the front and these springs on the inside pulling down, it never wants to fall over. You can see it takes a long, we go back very steep before it wants to fall over backwards, which was not the case when you have springs on the front pushing the whole body back. Also, this thing right here is just a speaker, totally unnecessary. I honestly just have, it's a Bluetooth speaker with its own battery in it. It's not connected to the car. I just have it rubber banded in. Totally unnecessary. It doesn't help the crawl at all, but it makes trailing fun, listen to music from the car. It's like having a little portable Bluetooth speaker droid following you around while you go on a hike. Endura skid plate here I got from Amazon. These cheap high trail links are just a little bit longer than stock. They were pretty cheap on AliExpress. And the last thing that I need to do to finish this up is put metal drive shafts in here. So this back drive shaft is just a tiny bit too short, and sometimes when I've been working on this thing, I've pushed this like pin out. Hasn't been a problem at all when I've been crawling with this guy. RampCrab servo on the front there, cheap on Amazon. Actually came in a 2-pack with horns and aluminum mounts for like $22 for 2 sets of everything. I think that the place that I probably splurged the most was on these wheels. I just like the iridescent colors to go with the paint job, and I think they were like $28. They do have brass rings on the inside. They got some good weight to them, but I wasn't super stoked about the plastic on the backside. It actually caused some screws to strip. You can see I'm missing a couple screws here because the plastic on the back stripped and I couldn't get the screws to stay in there. So be careful with that. All your basic brass. I mean, you can find off-brand brass parts for super cheap, and sometimes they're even heavier than some of the big name brand stuff. Just make sure they're a good fit. It's all TX4M stuff, so it's so easy to find parts. Except for this, which, like I said, I'll link in the description. It's a little bit wider, because the axles are wider. So I wanted to give you guys an example of how both of these things crawl on some of the indoor obstacles. So I'm going to set that up really quick and show you guys how this stuff works. And a little price breakdown. So I spent a total of $144 on all the parts, but that does include about $15 on paint and $20 on this body. So if you used a body from something else, that would save you like $35 there. Also, I'd say it'd be really easy to find wheels for probably $10 cheaper. I paid $28 for these wheels. You could probably find comparable wheels for like $18 to $20. So I'd say you could easily be spending $100 to upgrade this to this, and I paid $68. So, $168 for a pretty badass rig, I'm gonna say. All right, so we're powered on here. You can see the little LED lights on the grill. You can cycle through some different settings and turn them off. Also, just kind of a plain light bar. And then you hold this button down to turn on your headlights. I'm going to turn these off. And then this thing actually has a pretty good steering angle out of the box. There are some little pins here that you can trim off that will increase your steering angle slightly. And then there's this knob here that controls your how far you can turn your steering wheel. I don't know what you call this, but so yeah, turn it down, and then the steering wheel barely turn all the way down, and you don't get anything. Turn it all the way up, and you get full steering. Then got this set to the lowest speed here on the little electronic speed control. It gets a decent slow crawl. It's not super slow, but not a terrible slow crawl straight out of the box for a very cheap car. So these things do not have portal axles, so the clearance is not going to be great sometimes. It is somewhat easy to get hung up down here. But not having the portal axles does help keep the center of gravity relatively low, especially considering it has this kind of big hard body. Honestly, the first thing I would do if you want to keep this body, I'd take off that spare tire. It adds a bunch of weight, unnecessary weight to the back. I mean, it looks cool, but it really doesn't help the crawling of this thing at all. But it's still pretty capable. I mean, you can get up this right out of the box. Definitely was not able to do that with a brand new FCX24. You needed to have a little bit of weight added to it. Even kind of holds a pretty stable descent as well, which a lot of cars, even my FCX24 with a bit of weight on it, will flip over coming downhill like that. It's not going to make it up this, but see about how far back, how steep it will go before it wants to tip over. Now we're going to run a little test on this Figeater Beetle here. So these DJ Crawler tires do help with the clearance a little bit. I think they're 72 millimeters. See the articulation there, kind of going over that section. And then body rubs a little bit there, but not too bad. The Lexan is flexible. It's something a little bit smoother than the stock. Oh, and driver error right there. Let's see if I can pull it back up out of this. Oh, whoop, I went forward. Never mind. But you can see it holds pretty steady. Does not fall over. And can get out of a mess pretty easy. So stock, you want to start tipping over right about here, and now I'm just having trouble getting enough grip, and the width of this course makes it really hard because you don't have any room to move side to side. Alright, so now we're going to take this Beetle here outside for a test crawl, and I'm going to leave this guy inside because remember, it's a Christmas gift for a buddy, so I don't want to get it dirty or scratch it up, but you guys got to see it drive a little bit straight out of the box. Now, let's go crazy. Now this is a really hard line here. I think this is the only one of my cars, besides my Arctos 6x6, that can make it over this line. Oh, and here it's still struggling, getting a little stuck. Uh-oh. Look at that flex. Staying on tight. Oh, here we go. Are you gonna bottom out again? Yeah. Oh. Uh-oh. Watch that front right tire there. Increase wheel speed. Oh! Well, survived. Let's see if I can get back up these rocks here. Alright, and we're back on course. Alright. obviously, I couldn't recommend these enough for the price. 65 to 90, depending on where you go shopping, plus the ability to use all the affordable TRX-4M parts, and not worrying about damaging a really expensive toy. This is definitely comparable to a $150 car. Definitely comparable to a brand new TRX-4M for less than half the price. If you're just getting started with the hobby, this is a great way to go, especially if you like the look of a Jeep. Get one for your kids, your friends, your family. Get 3 of them, whatever, and have fun. Thanks for watching. Have a good afternoon, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.